Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Beyond the Bubble. And as always, we are looking for guests who are interesting and have a special life path or special ideas about the world. And they have some connection to Brussels and Belgium. May not be necessarily from here, but those who have landed here or pass through the city. And it's always interesting to explore these perspectives and their stories. So in that vein, a warm welcome to Dominique, who's joining us from, and you will tell us where from, because when I ask you where you're from, you usually give a number of countries that define you.
Yes.
So tell us
I'm a little
your
bit from
background.
everywhere. Let's start by a father who's Lebanese, a mother who's part Swiss, part Chilean, and I was born in Zurich. And what brought me here to Brussels, which is a really good question because actually our businesses are here, my father's businesses. And this is where I got my first daughter, Coco Belle. I was living in Antwerp. And then when I moved back to Lebanon with the twins, I decided to come back to Europe. And Brussels I chose. And it's where we're living right now with my 3 kids.
So what language do you speak with the kids?
We do speak a lot of English, but also mixed with French. Some Arabic and German as well. So it's all like mixed in our house sometimes. But they go to a French school where they have a little bit of English as well. But at home, it's like all mixed all over the place. But if I want to shout and let them really hear me well, I go in English and, everything is understood well.
I was going to ask you, so usually like what language do you count in or what language do you get angry in?
Angry English with the kids and the language that I think when I'm thinking or counting, it's German. It's my mother tongue,
Okay. And the kids between them?
They speak in English mostly,
okay. So not French?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very international.
Exactly.
Now, with that very already colorful background, tell us a little bit what you've done. I mean, you've been in business, but you've been doing artistic projects in the sense of music and modeling.
Exactly.
And similar.
Well, I have a background in I did my master's in international management. And I did a lot of DPA, designated person ashore in the maritime business. I was in the technicals of vessels. I fixed them. I do the maintenance for them, especially in...
With your bare hands? With your bare hands?
Yes, I was on board, of course, in our ports in Antwerp, on the vessels themselves. And this was my job mostly for 12 years. And then... I became a mama, and I love my job as a mama. And I stepped out of this world of business, and I tried to do. I always wanted to try everything that was a dream, and I always wanted to become a singer, and I did it. I made my 2 singles. I did the first single was okay. But the second single was really like it hit to top 10 in the Middle East. It got 1 million views on YouTube, and I was really surprised because I didn't expect that, especially that I made the video clip here in Belgium without the Lebanese support or what you get from there, all alone. And and I think I did it. I got what I want, and now I'm good. I'm fine. I'm back to.
But you also did, I don't know if did you do modeling or in social media you had and still have a very important presence?
Yeah, I do. I lost many followers, of course, because I'm not present on social media so much anymore. I don't post about
Which means you used to be, right?
I was kind of seen as an influencer, mother influencer, fashion influencer, etc. But it's... I don't want to expose my life anymore so much. I think it always makes things more complicated to be exposed to the world and to share too much about your life than, just being, having your privacy and living your life for yourself and not for the people. Not every time I need to go out and take out my camera to show people what I'm doing, and this is not the purpose of the whole thing. But I know people live from this, and but this is not what I chose to do anymore.
Was there a moment that kind of flipped your view on that? So perhaps there was a period when you really did that level of maybe not exposing your life, sharing your life, showing your life for very intensively and regularly. But was there some moment when you said, this is probably not the way I want to do it?
Yeah, of course, when so much eyes on you, people talking, gossiping, you get into some problems and you just want to get out of this, like the scene or the attention and everything, and you just want your peace and to find yourself. So, this is actually what happened to me. It was a turning point where I was too much present, showing too much to people, and
about your life,
about my life,
or...
my house, my kids, what we do, where we go, what we're eating, everything, what we're buying, what we're doing, and to some point, I felt like this is not me. I don't want to share too much about myself anymore, or even my kids, and just to have my own peace. Yeah.
And if you look back at that time, how do you see yourself? Of what motivated you to do that? Is it the visibility or people's attention, or was it something
was
else?
Fun. I think it's not the attention itself. Of course, everyone likes a little bit of attention, but I love to inspire people. I love to show my energy to people, my positivity, and I was known for this, for being this happy mama, raising 3 kids, going crazy sometimes, showing my life and everything. So I think it was a nice moment, but it's just like
Okay, you're still not completely invisible for social media or elsewhere. So how did you find, where's the balance between that level of exposure versus completely closing off?
Well, I'm still here. As you see, my Instagram still got some followers. It's not going up, it's not going down. Where is the balance? Yeah, I still post sometimes, especially about my sports. I love to show, like, maybe some people get motivated. I do a lot of sports, take care of myself. But the only thing that I'm not showing anymore is like my private life, or if something is going wrong, or I'm happy or I'm sad, like my feelings I'm not exposing anymore, which used to be the case before. If I was in trouble or something happened to me or there was an explosion or I don't know, like...
The one in the port, right? With
exactly, yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
Right. So whenever, let's say, something tragic or something shocking happened, it's not that you need to comment on it. You need
or
to...
even, like normal life, sadness, happiness, being in a good mood, being not in a good mood. I just don't show myself anymore to people. It's just like, I think it's not what I want to be anymore in the eyes of the people. Like someone...
What is it that you do want to be?
What I want to be? I want to be happy. And having my privacy, I think, gives me more of, gives me my own space with my children to focus on them and not being focused on the outside world. No, I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be out there, everyone looking at me. It's not that I want. I really want to focus on my children and myself, my healing, my path, my life. I think I got to that point where, I'm done with it all.
And when you say healing, do you want to say more about
healing?
Where is that coming from?
Well, who doesn't need to heal? Everyone needs to heal. We all went through things in our lives, relationships, family, anything, and we surpassed that, and working on ourselves, and especially focusing on what you want and what you are. And this is where healing starts, I think. Yeah.
Maybe the first step to healing is understand that you need to heal.
Exactement, c'est ça.
Did you have a moment when you realized that something needs to change, or you need to start looking at yourself, right? Because a lot of that effort to expose yourself to the world is often coming from you not wanting to look inside, right? Like you want others to look at you. You are looking outward, but the difficult part is looking inward, right? And you probably got to a point where you said, okay, due to circumstances, due to some things that must have happened, you realize that, okay, to be happy is not coming from outside. It's coming from, it's the opposite
inside.
direction.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, I'm a divorced woman. I have had a divorce behind me. I have parents that got divorced. So it's like all the normal troubles of life, the usual things, and everything I think needs healing. So in living in Lebanon is so much easier than living in Belgium.
Is it?
Yes, definitely. You got all the help you need. You get all the workforce, people that do everything for you. You got your family by your side, of course, and like everything is done for you. You don't even need to go to the supermarket or go to the pharmacy. Everything comes to your home. You can call the driver, get me this, get me that, or deliveries everywhere. Well, we know that also like from Dubai and other countries. But in Belgium, you got to do everything by yourself. And I kind of like that because I love the responsibility. I love to be the mom, waking up in the morning, preparing the lunch boxes of my children, taking them to school by myself, not with a driver. I feel more in power of my own life and not being that spoiled girl that I can be, not that I used to be, because I always knew both lives. I know Europe life and I know the life I had in Lebanon. There, I'm a princess, of course, but here, Dominique does everything. She goes to the supermarket. She carries the heavy water home. She puts them into her car and takes them home, and I do everything else. So this is a little bit the difference between, like Princess Dominique in Lebanon and Dominique, the hardworking mom on a daily basis from morning till evening running around with her kids in Belgium.
A lot of people can relate to that for sure because Brussels, well, I wouldn't say Belgium at large, but again, Brussels in a broad geographic sense attracts a lot of foreign-born expats, migrants, if you will, depending on how you want to label it, but people who are coming from a very different place. And they don't have their families, or they don't have their parents or grandparents if you have kids who can easily come and help out on a weekend or cook during the day because you're busy working or doing your life. So it's a very different way of living in a place where you decided to stay and create your own space without all those ancillary helpers and childhood friends and networks and all the others. So everybody's here for a reason. Most people come here either for money because of work or love because their spouse or friend or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the relationship is, but their partner came here or they found someone here and they moved here.
I chose.
But then there's a third one. So let's hear what's the third
Well, I chose to
here.
come here. First of all, I wanted to move to Europe. So, of course, I have the option to go back to my country, which is Switzerland, to Zurich, and where I have all my family. But the father of my kids also lives in Belgium, and I thought it's a good idea for not separating or being in different countries. And I thought it's a good idea to be in Belgium, so he's closer to them and can see them more often. I started it when I was still living in Switzerland, basically
The career
influencing, and I was one of the top influencers. It was cited on one of the websites in Switzerland, but I continued.
On which topic, if I may So that was
Influencing like fashion, health, sports, hobbies, like my lifestyle, my traveling and stuff like that. And yeah, and it carried on when I was traveling from one country to another, and then ended up in Lebanon and then back here. I came to Belgium. I was still very present on the social media. I was showing my house, my kids, how the whole move, how we moved here, how the energy was, how my kids' moods, being a little bit anxious, a little bit afraid of the new step, the new country, the new house, and being away from our family. And yeah, but then I got to some point where this all was finished. Yeah.
And you worked with brands as an influencer. So would you represent or advertise? I don't know how that world actually works, and I'm curious to learn from you. Is it something that you do kind of for your own and with having a community around you, or was there other incentives behind it?
Of course, I did work with brands, especially when I used to model, and that you go for like top brands whatsoever. But as an influencer, yes, you get a lot of collaborations. And I'm not someone who was doing this to make money or to profit from people or to get something for free. Yeah, and I understand so many do that, and they love these collaborations and getting, like, oh, here facial for free, here I don't know, a gift or books for my kids or whatever. So this was never my intention. I always do it from my heart, and I didn't even expect anything in return. Like if someone would send me something, this is not where I want to be in my life. Like I think I studied too much. I did too much. I worked too hard to get to a point where this would be my thing, like getting stuff for free in order to like give you a tag.
You're not saying, hey,
because
people
I
don't
know
do
a lot
it.
of influencers, and they're doing a great job, and I'm so happy for them. But this is how they live, and this is how they do their money.
But it's not what you want to be.
No.
And I do sense that there was a moment when you got to a point where you said enough is enough. And I'm trying to understand, again, to the degree you're comfortable sharing that, but you mentioned that you felt that you're overexposing, oversharing things.
I think it's also age, maturing. I'm 36. I'm turning 37. I'm not that, crazy Dominique, 30-year-old, trying to influence people and show the people like who I am and what I am. No, I got to a point. I know what I am. I know who I don't need the attention. I don't want to be exposed anymore.
And you don't need validation from people.
Yeah, from others. It's like I think also age and maturing. This is one of the main things, I think. Yeah.
If I asked you, what have you learned? You're already sharing some of it, what you have learned, but can you point your finger and say, if I look back on my path and things I've done and my experience, what is it that you've come to understand?
Being more careful, more emotional intelligence, because I used to trust people too fast, love too fast, fall in love too fast, and making wrong decisions. And now I am more laid back. I think before I act. Let's talk about narcissism.
I was going to ask, okay,
like what I would tell women.
Okay. So you've come to understand, you've matured in understanding what you did wrong, where you're headed. And is there something you've learned when it comes to relationships or other?
Well, that's a very good question
people?
Because Dominique never learns. She keeps on getting trapped in the wrong relationship. But
why is that?
Why is that? Maybe I attracted it somehow. And I was in a relationship with a person that has really a narcissistic personality disorder. And I know that a lot of people are in the same situation, but luckily I found myself out. And what I would tell these girls or women, just run for your life, because they will never change. You can do whatever you want, try to change them and for the love and everything, but they will never change. It is
They
how it
meaning
is.
the narcissistic partner.
Yes, they will never change. And I think in a relationship, there are always two. And it's giving. It's giving, 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 giving. It's like you're investing in your body. You're investing in your business for money. You're investing in anything in life. Relationships, you need to invest in them. And that's by giving from your heart, from your soul, from your sacrifice. And if it doesn't come from both sides, then it will never work out.
It's a partnership. And in a partnership, you cannot just
Partnership.
have only one partner investing and the other one only taking.
Exactly.
That's not a healthy partnership.
Exactly.
And when you realize this, how do you, I think that's an important question. How do you gather the strength in you to be able to leave such a toxic relationship?
I tell you, it took me a really long time to get out of it, because I was holding on to it. And then when I saw that you're like looking like the crazy one at the end, and it's not them, it's you, and this is what they try to do. They try to manipulate you, gaslight you, but they love bomb you at the same time. Like you don't understand life anymore. But hey, I have 3 kids to take care of. I have to be mentally healthy. I have to be mentally good for my kids. No, there's nothing more important than my kids. And there cannot come a man in my life that would destroy that for me. And this is where I gathered all my strength. And I was like, this is not where you're going to be, Dominique. You're not going to end up here. This is not your level. You need to, you always shine bright. Why you should get stuck in this little hole here with this person?
This destructive pattern, which is a downward spiral, right?
Well, it's a cycle with these narcissists, how you would think, oh, no one can love me like they do. Oh my God, the love bombing is another world. Like how they love you, it's irreplaceable, let's say. But then what comes after, the whole cycle, and it keeps going on and on and on, and it's very tiring.
You know, once I read a fascinating article that I remember to this day, and now that you talk about it, I remember it, which is the difference between, it made an interesting distinction between love and possession. And what you're saying, this is not love. It looks like love, right? Like you use the term love bombing because that's the term.
That's the
but
term,
effectively,
exactly.
this is
they
possession.
only love themselves.
And this is possession. They wanna own you for themselves
Exactly.
and not see you for who you are.
Exactly. Narcissists at the end, all they love is themselves and not the other person. What they love is to possess you, to have you under their control, to control you all the time, what you're doing.
So narcissists, they want to possess you. They want to own you and not see you for who you are.
Yes, and especially they get more power when they have a strong woman by their side, and they think like, oh, she's this person, and I can still control her, and this gives them even more and more ego to go on and with what they're doing. And yeah, I let him do that to me, but not for a long time. I got out of it, and I would say it was not easy the first few months until you get your healing and start reflecting on what was happening. And do you really want this in your life? Do you really want to suffer? Do you really want to become mentally ill because of your partner? I don't think so. I think every girl that is in this position should just run away, especially if she can. I get so many questions from women that it's hard for them to leave their husband, narcissistic husband, because of a financial situation, because they're just stuck there, or he might take the kids from her and whatsoever. So that was not the case for me because I'm independent. I don't need to be with a person if I don't want to be with a person.
Yeah.
And for these women, really, sometimes I'm just blocked because I don't know what to tell them. I cannot tell them leave this person, and then they're all by themselves out there.
One thing in such a situation, it's an awfully difficult situation. You're trapped essentially, because if a woman is dependent financially on a man, and there are kids involved, and obviously there are lots of logistics and circumstances involved, it's an awfully difficult situation. And yet, one thing that any person can do is trying to find ways to reinforce themselves, which doesn't end the relationship. It doesn't separate them from the other person, but at the minimum, they can cope better, but ultimately they can get strong enough to be able to make hard decisions like the ones you did when they are internally, when they have that strength. How do you see this?
Well, yes. You can tell a woman that is a mother of, for example, 3 children or 2 children or even 1 child, that is busy with them, doing the work for them, and tell her, like, leave and just go. You can do it by your own. Of course you can do it by your own.
There are situations when a person cannot get away. And
unfortunately, yeah.
What then? What's a girl to do?
I cannot give advice here because I'm not a relationship therapist or educated myself enough. I can only talk about my life experience and how it was for me and my situation, and that whoever is stuck in there and can afford just leaving, that they should really try to leave, because I know it's not easy. And then the others that are stuck in a situation where they have to try to deal with the situation, and they cannot change the person at the end, but they can still, live their life for the sake of the children. Or
they can change their coping mechanisms, but ultimately they can change the way they relate to a situation. The coping mechanism is not an ideal thing, right? Like you can start drinking, but it's not going to change the situation.
Exactly.
On the contrary. So any other...
No matter how much you try to cope and you try to understand the other person, it's still going to be hard, because the other person, the narcissist, will always find a way to put you down again and to possess you. Like you don't have a life anymore. Yeah.
It's tough. It's one of the toughest situations. And by the way, and just to say, I think vast majority of this kind of personalities tend to be men, but it's not exclusively men, right? Like, and sometimes
there are
it can
many
be
women.
There are
Oh
many
my
women
God! Yes,
who are,
I heard so much. Men even suffer from narcissistic women that try to control them, and they're like totally blocked, and they do whatever the woman is asking them for. I've seen that and heard that a lot, and I know some people even. Yeah, it's both ways.
It's both ways, right? Like, because there's more attention in that particular personality disorder, which sometimes can even go to the degree of a mental disorder, man. But certainly, it's still on both sides. And how do you see denial? Because when you say, if you realize you're in a relationship of that kind, run away. But many people, and it's a coping mechanism, no doubt, they deny it to themselves, that the person is actually not that bad. They're not that possessive. They're not so controlling.
This is how it is, and this is how you feel. You are in denial mode until you wake up. And you're like, no, I'm going out of my mind. This is not okay. And yeah, it hits you hard. And I think some people, you just need to wake up. You cannot stay there. You cannot be in denial. You see that you're not okay. You see that you're suffering. You see that you're not happy. You see that you're crying every day. Why should you stay there? So I'm talking to the women to tell them, wake up. Wake up and stop being in denial. You know how you are feeling. If this guy, if this man, or this woman, or whatever, your partner is not making you happy, you cannot wake up with a smile in the morning. You don't get a nice good morning. You don't get a nice good night. Don't get flowers. Let's talk about, something tangible, not just feelings.
The lack of hurt is the absolute minimum, but it's not what defines a relationship. That's not what makes a happy relationship. It's the adding, it's the nurturing, the attention, and it can be or should be often physical, but as much emotional.
Yes,
that the other person is
definitely the
giving.
attention and nurturing each other's souls and being there for each other. If someone is feeling down, the support, the everything, being looked up at, the respect. It's not anymore. It's like, oh, I'm in love, butterflies. Yeah, it goes away, it fades away. But why people keep their marriage? Because there's the respect, there's a good communication, there are things they do in common, and they go with life together, hand in hand. And this is what love is at the end. You love the person for who they are in your life and what they mean to you. And if someone tells me I'm hopelessly romantic, I always want to have butterflies, but it's not possible.
I want to pick up a word you just said, which is respect. And it's so often not seen or not understood how important that is. That's the fundamental of any relationship. Because if I don't respect you as a person, then what is it? It's objectifying the other person ultimately.
Respect is everything in a relationship, I think. You cannot put the other person down just because you're feeling bad or you're in a bad mood. Respect is everything. Respecting means also, for example, not cheating because you respect that person, not because you love this person, let's say, but because you respect them. So respect...
Or you respect your agreement of how you want to handle your relationship.
Yes, okay. Now here, an agreement, yeah?
And that can be an explicit or implicit agreement. But again, in an unhealthy relationship, that agreement is not an equal agreement, not a fair agreement, so to say, because you don't necessarily have signed up to it in a way the other person understands it.
To be faithful.
To be faithful, but more than that, it's just simply how you want to be together.
For me, I don't know, open relationships and a man that likes to go around and the woman has her own life. This doesn't work. I'm very old-fashioned with this. Call me old-fashioned, yes.
I don't think it's old-fashioned. It's more like classic. I don't know what's the word.
Classic, yeah, that's a good word. So, yeah.
You're classical about it.
If I have a man, then the man is totally mine and I'm totally his. And this is how I like to see a relationship because... all these open relationships that you're saying, like the woman is living her life in one part and the man is doing his own thing, and this is not for me, and I can never tolerate such relationship.
There's this sexual / romantic part of that, but I even meant it even broader. So because respect, that is a big part of that, but the respect is even respect for your way of life, and we're not talking about being monogamous or not, but your way of life, that if you want to go hang out with your friends for 2 days because you've been friends for a decade and you want to go out, and I don't allow it. I say, that's the possession.
Yeah, but then,
so the respect is the opposite of being possessive.
Yeah, but then you should have a good argument for why you don't want to let me go, for example, on a trip with my friends. You can tell me, oh, you did this, you did that, whatever.
Or that I don't trust you. Right?
Or I don't trust you, for example.
That becomes
but trust is always, it comes from yourself. If you know yourself that you do this and this and that, you will never trust the other person, because you always think that the other person, your partner, will do the same as you're doing. This is what I think. And when you have a clear conscience and you know that you would never do something wrong, and you do not get that trust, it's a little bit difficult, to be all the time doubted in. And this is with narcissists. This is how it is. He can even imagine that I don't know, you're with your kids at home in your PJs and another guy will come and see you outside. Yeah.
But I want to go back to the trust because you said something very important, which I'm very much want to underline and emphasize. How much trust depends on trusting the other person is ultimately about you trusting yourself. And a lot of people don't trust themselves. They know themselves enough to know not to trust themselves. And that is then projected onto the other person, right? So my lack of trust towards you says more about me than it says about you.
Yeah, this is how it is. You got it. You got my point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is a very common knowledge because most people think, oh,
it's the other. It's always the other person. It's always the other person is the issue. It's always the other person that is the issue. It's never you. How come? Why don't we start reflecting on what we are, like what's wrong with ourselves, and improve ourselves in order to give and be the person we want to be for the other person?
One thing that comes to mind when you're saying this, how that translates to mother or parent and child. Because if a parent doesn't trust themselves, that fear is shown, is affecting the children. Because if I don't trust my kid, again, there are a lot of variables to it to say, okay, what's the age and circumstances and all the rest. But if I say, well, do I trust my kid to do their homework or assemble their bags for school for the next day? If I'm a perfectionist and I'm constantly afraid of missing something and, oh my God, it's not going to work out, that fear in me or that anxiety in me will immediately be carried over to the kid, right? So it's not trusting yourself affects everyone around you.
Exactly. It's a very bad trait, it can harm anyone, and especially relationships, family, friends, everyone around you. So it always starts by working on yourself and doing your job of trusting yourself first before expecting people to trust you. But you will always find people that do not, and you just have to know, oh, this is not where I want to be.
And how do you start trusting yourself? What's your insight there?
I'm not an angel. I've never been an angel. But I think I got to an age where, you just want the peace of mind. And I trust myself so much now that I got to a point, it's what I want in life. It's the simple things. It's happiness, having a good partner by your side, which I still didn't find, but he might come because I'm hopelessly romantic.
Fair enough.
Having health, children, and looking after me and my children. And this is all this is life's greatest gift, I think. And I'm not asking too much, I think.
Ultimately coming down to your values, because when your values shift, your life will shift, because you will live your life, whether explicit or implicit values. And if your values are partying and Instagram followers, well, that's the past, right? Like that's the kind of life you used to live. But then it shifts to some degree to different directions, and that's going to determine things. But let me just come back for a second to the term trust, because when I say you trust myself, there's a question: trust to do what? Not trust in an abstract sense.
Trust myself, and just telling the truth, being loyal, being a good person to others. I trust myself and being responsible for my own actions. I just trust myself that I cannot harm someone or hurt someone or being a bad person. I trust myself. Just being who I am and being a good person out there for the world, for everyone around me.
reminds me or brings me to the word integrity, where who you think you are and who you act
Yes.
as, the two get as close to each other as possible, or they fully overlap.
Yeah, you can say, I trust myself for being a good person, but what is a good person?
I get you. We can go certainly deeper as to what is a good person, and then it gets very
No.
philosophical. But we'll leave it at that. But I wanted to come back and essentially join two things, because I think that there's a parallel when you talk about narcissists earlier and how pathological that can be, because they constantly want validation from you. So you are a tool to validate them, or they use you to validate them. But then you also talked about earlier with social media and the other, which again has a lot of validation in it. So how do these come together when basically an outside followers or partner and
Well, the difference
where are you in that?
the difference is that a narcissist needs validation, and I'm on Instagram or on social media, I am getting the validation.
So what is it that you've come to realize, whether it's another person? So what I'm trying to find commonalities between a narcissistic person and the dynamics of social media and the world of influencers.
Okay, so the validation you get from a narcissist, it's quite heavy, quite strong, quite too much love. Everything is too much possession, too much from everything. On social media, it's just followers. You get their messages. You don't care. Sometimes you see, you don't see. You cannot see everything on social media.
It's a very positive one, right? Like they also love bomb you, no?
I receive very beautiful messages like, we learned this from you, or you changed our life when you talked about a certain topic, or what you do with your kids. It's insanely good how you live by yourself, raising them all by yourself in Europe, etc. No, you get nice validation sometimes on social media, but you can also get the opposite. And with the narcissists, actually, I don't remember that I got validation except for like...
No, there you were being used, and you, when I say it in very general terms, not you personally.
Yeah, of course, he was
anyone is
proud.
there to serve the
He was proud. He didn't,
needs.
It's just not a random girl that, you didn't get a random girl in your life, and of course gives him validation, but he would never approve of it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good to show to the outside world. But
good to show me
behind closed doors, so to say.
Good to introduce me. Good to
show
off with me. But then you never get one single compliment or anything. Yeah.
Yes, and that's a very interesting dynamic where the person, especially those with narcissistic disorder, it's a very common trait where to the outside world they show a very, very different image than the kind of person that they are behind closed doors.
No one would ever believe you if you say, oh, he's a narcissist or he does this and that. They would not believe you because he's so perfect for the other people, like in their eyes.
I don't want to dig in your personal history.
Yeah.
I want to uncover what you've learned in more general terms, right? And it's a very common pattern for those with that sort of personality, where there's a theater going on, but if you tell relatives or friends or others that this person is actually very nasty when it's just the two of us,
they will not even believe it, because this person is so perfect in the people's eye. He's so charming, charismatic, helpful. He would do anything. He would run for other people, but he would not run for your own partner. So, or at least accomplish a task. He would not be able to do it, but if someone else asked him to do so, he would do it very fast.
So the world, so to say, meaning anyone but you, has a very positive opinion about that person, and you start doubting yourself and say, how the hell is this possible that everybody adores that person? Am I the only one missing something? So you
Exactly,
get
and then you
confused.
hang on this person. You hang on more on this person
you doubt yourself.
You doubt yourself, and this is where really, really like you need to step out of this denial and just wake up and see that things are not okay, and yeah.
There's a very strong incentive, psychological incentive, to minimize the problems and to wish them away, deny them in every possible way. So, well, they yelled at me, but it's not that bad. Actually, I was crying all night, but actually, who doesn't? Right? You come up with these extreme justifications.
Yeah, just to make
Just to
yourself
avoid having to see for things for what they are.
yeah. So what was the question?
There was no question.
We're just
There was
having
no
a
question.
conversation.
It was just sharing the wisdom. Very interesting. Now let's move a little bit away from these topics, and I'd be curious just to hear, like you are really you have genes in your body from Latin America, from Europe, and from the Middle East,
Yes.
right? That's a global mix.
Yeah, 3 continents.
3 continents.
All in
exactly.
me, yes.
3 continents have walked into the studio.
Yeah.
Indeed. And how do you see the world? Do you think you see the world very differently from others that you encounter here in Brussels, or is it so international that there is no big difference?
It is pretty international. I think I don't even have maybe one friend that is Belgian here. But yeah, I mean,
I'm Belgian. Okay.
you're Belgian?
I'm Belgian.
Nice to meet you.
I wasn't born here. I'm Hungarian.
But you're Belgian.
But I'm Belgian for a couple
So
of years
you're my
now,
first
yeah.
Belgian friend.
There you go.
Yeah, it's quite international here. So, but appearance-wise, what do you say? I'm more Latina, or more?
I would actually have a hard time locating you or localizing
Lebanese,
you.
Swiss.
Yeah.
I don't look like Swiss, but yeah, I attribute it from my 3. Like I am like on fire, like a Latina. I think I am fun and happy and welcoming, and have these like traditional Lebanese, Arabic vibes in me. Swiss, I'm very punctual. I respect the time. I'm very accurate with what I do. Very professional if I go with something. So yeah, I'm like a mix of all the 3 things, 3 continents. Yeah.
That makes sense. And do you easily find a common tone with the people you interact with, or you feel that culturally it's far?
Well, it depends. I can be a different person when I'm in Lebanon or in Dubai.
Right.
I'm like, I totally change. And everyone tells me, oh, the way you speak, the way you dress, the way it's just different there. You have to go with the flow. And in Belgium, I just love to be in my leggings all day and my big sweater and no makeup and just be me, So it's 2 different worlds, and they can be 2 different Dominiques. I can tell you, you would not know this Dominique from this Dominique sometimes.
I totally understand that phenomenon, because I think most of us who come from different places, and probably also the language you speak, if you interact with Arabic or if you interact in English or French, you are still a little different person despite being you. What I was going to ask is do you have that sentiment that when you go to Lebanon, for instance, you don't feel that you are really part of the local community there anymore? Whereas when you're here, you say, well, I'm not that part of this community yet or anymore, but anyways, because I'm coming from somewhere else. So what I'm saying is, coming from a place and then living elsewhere, you're in neither to some degree. Do you have that sentiment?
Yes, of course, because I don't feel like I'm just Lebanese. I don't feel I'm just Swiss. I don't feel I'm just like Chilean.
Yeah.
I'm a citizen of the world, and wherever you put me, I can do it.
For that reason, Brussels or Belgium in general, I think is a pretty good place, because I don't know the exact number, but it's 150 plus nationalities being represented in this town. And you see, here we are, we speak English. None of us is originally from here, and this is our home, and probably will be for a while, at least the hub from which we explore the world. And yeah, right? So that sort of internationality and that really mixed cultures and languages and origins, we found a nice place here.
True, yeah. Brussels it is.
With those words,
Yes.
thank you very much.
Thanks
Lovely
to
talking
you.
to you.
Thanks to you.
Well, where can people find you if they want to follow you, if they want to see
You can-
not so much of your life as it used to be, but still a little snippet of your life?
You can follow me on my Instagram account, Dominique Scarlett, and and you can also still watch my video clips on YouTube.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to you.